Thank you. Okay. Please, can you see my screen?
Not yet, sir. We can't see it.
Okay.
I can't see your screen yet.
All right. It can be somewhat messy sometimes. Just gonna put this here. Okay. Couple of tabs here. Please give me a second, please. Bring this tab. See if this works. Can you see my screen now, please?
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, nice. All right, so fundamentals of career trajectory of a software engineer. In the world of today, right, we all know how software is growing. Sorry if you're dropping a message, I'm no longer on the screen, right? So I can't really see your message right now. Okay. All right, so today I'll just walk you all through fundamentals and career trajectory of a software engineers, right? First of all, my name is Paul. I work with Determinants as a software engineer in Texas. I'm a certified information technologist with over decades of hands-on experience. My goal is pretty much simple: transform complex challenges into user-friendly, impactful solutions that drive success. I'm visible on LinkedIn. We can share stories on LinkedIn. And of course, you can learn about me with that link, about.me/Paul Nnadi. Okay. But yeah, not really about me today. Okay, let's get to the business. So first of all, who is a software engineer? All right. A software engineer is just simply a professional who applies principles of computer science, engineering, and mathematical analysis to design, develop, test, and maintain software systems. You can just simply say a professional who designs, develop, and maintains software systems. And as you can see, I've underscored this applies principle. And the reason is because there's a difference between a programmer, which we're still going to talk about, a programmer and a software engineer. All right. A programmer simply is just someone who can develop a software without applying principles. All right. You see different web applications, with 5 users, 10 users, 100 users. But when they start growing into 5 millions, billions of users, all right, without these principles, right, you discover that this app won't even stand the test of time. You can compare this with likes of Facebook's, likes of Amazon, right? How they started, right? They applied software design principles to these softwares. Okay. So what are the difference between software engineer and programmers? And like I said, this first section, I'll just introduce you to software engineering, programming, right? And then the second segment, where we'll delve into career paths where you can make your decisions on this tech stack you want to delve into and how you want to grow, the path you want to follow to, achieve your goal as a software engineer. Like I tell people, all engineers are programmers, but not all programmers are engineers. Engineers focuses on designing, developing, testing, and maintaining entire software systems. Okay. The goal of a programmer is just write codes. Okay. Give me the task. I'm just going to write the code. All right, they don't really care about the structures, the architectures, the design pattern, which we are still going to talk about. They don't really put this into considerations, right? But an engineer will look at this. Engineer look at the big picture and the problem solving, right? They look at the bigger picture of the software you want to build, right? If you take a system, for instance, the app we're using right now, to an engineer will estimate the growth strategy, right? Look at, okay, when we have 5 million people using this app, is it going to accommodate for 5 million, 5 billion people? But a programmer just jump on it, start coding. But hey, both are in the same space, both are making good money, right? You cannot just become an engineer without first going through the programming stage. Of course, you still need to make your mistakes, do some things you need to do, and then you keep learning before you grow into being an engineer. And being an engineer is subjective, right? You can work with maybe a small firm, right? That's maybe what they are building is a blog, and you are the pro there, right? And they will call you, hey, senior engineer, right? But when you evolve, when you go to more competitive company, global company, you discover that you can end up becoming an intern, all right? And that's why it's very subjective to say you're an engineer. Okay, so basically, why software engineer? You want to travel, you're considering traveling, you want to earn more, you want to just do well. Why do you want to consider software engineering? Why is it important? First of all, high paying jobs. You agree with me that most people here, your goal is just, I want to make funds, like I want to get money. All right. If you consider this part, trust me, you're going to make that money, but you need to put in the work. An average salary in the US is about $120K per year. That's on the average, right? Borderless opportunity. You want to travel, but you just want to be doing something on the side to keep up, right? To keep up with your fees and your lifestyle. Okay. Software engineering gives you the opportunity to do that. Empowerment, you can be in the comfort of your zone and then build softwares for local and global, the global market. You automatically become a global competitor as a user, just being a software engineer. So you see that the space is very versatile, but the truth is you have to put in the work. See, it just doesn't jump on you and then you just become an engineer. No, you first pass through the nitty-gritties of being a programmer and then you become an engineer. Regardless of being an engineer or a programmer, right? Like I said, there's a whole lot of debates going on, but we are not just going to dwell on that. It's still how you carry yourself, right? How you build yourself in this space that makes you grow. Okay. Now, what are the global relevance of a software engineer? Like I said, when you consider software engineer role, you automatically become a global competitor, right? You're competing with millions of people. So you need to set yourself aside. You need to learn a lot. You need to keep learning every day. Software career is just like, when you're in basic, you're learning maths, your teacher will tell you mathematics. When you leave maths for one day, maths will leave you for, is it a week or thereabouts? Same thing here. Even if you're programming for, you notice that programmers in the last 10 years, if they come out now to say they want to program without learning, without growing, trust me, they're not going to be relevant in the market, because this space is ever evolving every single day. Software engineering powers innovation, of course, as we know in industries. We've seen fintech, we've seen it into playing fintech, healthcare, education. We no longer go to, look at what we are doing today. We are learning at the comfort of our houses, right? We are in our respective homes and then we are learning. Okay, we can stream the internet, we can just basically entertain ourselves anywhere we are. This is because of softwares and software engineering rules that are available. Now, check this out. In 2023, the global tech market was valued at $5.2 trillion. That's to tell you that it's demanding, right? It's a whole lot going on there. And the demand for software engineers is projected to grow at 25% in 2030. The big question is, are you going to be among the 25%? Okay, countries like USA, Canada, and Germany, not just these three countries, everywhere around the world, they're actively seeking for skilled tech workers. Okay, so if you're intentional about your growth, right, and you're considering a career path, software engineer is a sport for you. But the thing is, some people feel, can I really do it? It all depends on your mindset and the work. If you put in the work, and what is the work? Just sit down, right? You can just say, okay, every 5 hours of my life moving forward, right, I want to learn. I want to be learning. Just be, I'm going to be sharing resources, a lot of resources that I used personally. I'm going to be sharing it after the training, and then you can use that as well. Just learn, join communities, have mentors, and then you see yourself growing. Okay. Still talking about global relevance. In 2020, uh, software was evaluated to be $151.6 billion. And just look at the space between 2020 to 2025, right? 2029 is projected to grow at $896.20 billion. So it's growing. It's growing. You cannot be in this space and, I mean, you're not making money. That's not true. Except probably you've not branded yourself, you've not put yourself in the limelight, which we're going to still talk about all of that. The whole point here is that there's a global relevance for software engineers. The global software engineering market was valued at $151.6 billion in 2020. You can imagine 2020 to 2029, you can imagine the projection. And look at this. I'm sure most of you must have seen this. I think 3 or 4 days ago when Elon Musk posted it. He said, if you are a hardcore software engineers and want to build the everything app, please join us by sending your best work to code.x. You see, you have boundless opportunities. This is the richest man in the world, as far as I'm concerned, right? And then, I mean, you have opportunity to even, share your experience, share your code base with, code.x. So you have a lot of, how do I say it, opportunity to grow, right? And to work with global companies, okay? Okay, now we're going to be delving into the career trajectory of a software engineer. I'm going to be walking you through the stages, okay, stages of a software engineer and career, how you can make your choice. Now that we've seen that, hey, this is demanding, right? I know who a software engineer is. I know he's a professional that applies principles, right, to build softwares. I know that I will have to, if I'm a complete beginner, which is fine, there's no pressure. All right. In fact, this is beginner friendly. I want to believe that everybody here has no knowledge about these things, and then you just want to grow. And if you're already in the space and then you want to grow, still you're welcome, right? You already know the difference, right? You know the reason why you want to go into this. Do you want to get high paying jobs? Do you want to build for yourself, right? Do you want to build software for yourself? Okay, when you travel, do you want to start making other things? Do you just want to grow in these things? Okay, you know the global relevance of an engineer. You know that it's demanding. There's a whole lot of projections in there. Now, how do you decide your tech stack? Okay, now most of us here, we've been hearing front end, back end, server, database, cloud, and then you're wondering, what are these things? And how am I even going to decide? I was once there, right? And I'm just going to share a little story, right? In my undergraduate days, I happened to be a generalist. I was everywhere, networking, I was doing programming by the side. Even in the programming, I was still having different languages and whatnot. I know there are some people there too that in this situation where you don't really know where you want to focus in. You don't know the stack you want to pick. You just find yourself interested in both, front end, back end, mobile, and then you're doing halfway jobs, right? It is fine. I mean, I had this confusion, and there's nothing bad in being a generalist. Okay, I was a generalist for some time. Then I decided to, specialize in a particular niche, which makes you grow better, to be honest. So I'm just going to run down the tech stacks we have, and then you can make a research as well after the call, or probably on your Leo, right? You just make a research that where do you really fall in? If you've been hearing about front end, Front end is the part of the application that you interact with, just as we are. If you can see my cursor, I can click on stop sharing. You can see all of these things. How you interact with the system is front end. All right. The designs, what makes it looks good to use it. Okay, that's the front end. And there are a couple of frameworks you can use for front end development. Okay, frameworks like React.js, Angular, and Vue. Now, this is still overwhelming because you'll be wondering, okay, I have React, there's Angular, there's Vue, and a couple others. So which one should I decide? Which one should I use? I'm still going to tell you the tips on how you can make these decisions. Trust me, it can be overwhelming sometimes, right? When you have different stacks, and not just different stacks, you have lots of libraries, you have lots of programming languages, and then you're finding it very difficult to select the one, especially when you're a complete beginner. Even if you've started already and then you want to transition, but then you still don't know the particular one you want to transition into. Okay, I'm going to be giving you a lot of tips on that. But then just know that the front end is the user part where you interact with the system, right? And the mobile is the interface design functionality for both mobile and web application. It ensures the application works seamless. Of course, mobile, we have iOS, you have Android, whatever you want to use. Those are Android mobile apps. And then server, and you have frameworks like Flutter, React Native. And then you're asking yourself again, so which one should I do? Okay. Server applications, of course, we have the backend. The backend has to do with the database, configuring the server like Linux, Ubuntu, and the likes, right? And you can use frameworks like .NET, Node.js, Django, Spring Boot. .NET is Microsoft, right? You can use your C#, C++. Node.js, of course, JavaScript, right? You can still apply your Express.js, Nest.js. The Django is, of course, Python. And then Spring Boot, as usual, Java. Okay, don't worry if this is still sounding like jargons. Of course, you're still finding it very difficult to like pinpoint, okay, which one do I want to dive in? We're still going to get in there. Then the database, of course, the database stores, information about the system. Okay, when user registers, it's the database that stores it. Now you can see how these things are aligning together. When a user comes to a platform, you interact through the front end. The front end sends the data to the back end. The back end processes it and then saves into the database. We have a couple of databases you might want to dive into. We have the Microsoft, the Postgres. All these are relational database. Then the non-relational, the MongoDB, and the Firebase. Okay. Of course, we are still in deciding your tech stack, and then looking at the cloud provider. I mentioned I mentioned servers like Linux, Ubuntu, and the likes. Now, there are companies that provide these servers like the AWS, Google Cloud Platforms, Microsoft, DigitalOcean. You just decide where you want to purchase your server, right? And then you can configure your server. Now, all of these are done by the DevOps. Okay, the DevOps focuses on improving the reliability, scalability. Like I was talking about scalability, right? You have a system, and then when you have 100 users using that system, nothing happens, right? Then what happens when you're doing stress testing? Let's say you want to just inject about 5 million users at the same time on the system. Sometimes the system crashes, and that's the job of a DevOps engineer. A DevOps engineer ensures that the server is reliable. When you have hundreds, by itself, it just scales to accommodate any number of users at that time. Okay, so that's the job of a DevOps. Just to quickly recap, we have the front end that is about that you interact with, the user interacts with the UI and whatnot. We have the mobile, the iOS, the Android, and we have the back end that works with the logic and data. The database stores the information of the particular system, right? Cloud provider ensures that the server is reliable, is running, can scale when need be. Now, what are the tips for choosing a tech stack? Like we said, front end, we have libraries, we have React, Angular. So I'm a newbie. How do I check? How do I know that, okay, I want to just pick React or Angular. Or if, okay, I've decided to use backend. So what language will I use? Should I use frameworks like .NET? Should I use Node.js? All these things can be overwhelming, like I said. So these are the tips for you to choose your tech stack. Identify your goal and interest. Do you want to work for a company? Or do you want to become a freelance? Or you want to build your own projects? When you've identified that goal, that would give you some information on how you can make this decision. For instance, you want to work for a company. Some of us already have a list of companies you would like to work for, right? Microsoft's, you want to work with Apple. Now, all you just need to do is, you just want to start, right? Go to job boards, look at look at job opportunities and look at the stack they are requesting for. If you go to LinkedIn, for instance, you'll see that, hey, JavaScript developer is needed, Node.js developer is needed, .NET developer is needed. Just look at these things, right? Okay, I want to work for this company. What are the job they've been posting as regards software engineers? That would give you some information on, okay, this part. And from there, you'll be seeing demanding tech stacks, Node.js, Laravel and whatnot. Research industry demands, right? Check job boards, like I mentioned, LinkedIn, Indeed, for demand skills. Now, when you go to these job boards, you'll just be seeing skills that people, these companies are requesting for. That can give you some idea of, the stack to pick and then the language to learn. Start with beginner-friendly technologies. Now, this is very key. As much as you want to make these decisions, right, to work with, some of these big giant companies, you need to start with beginner-friendly technologies. The reason why some people give up is because they just want to pick, you can do it, but then, sometimes it just gets too much. You just get too overwhelming that you just tire, you just drop them and then you just walk away. Languages like Java. Java is very complex, and the reason why it's complex is because it's adopting a lot of principles that most of these, languages like JavaScript is not really adopting. When you're writing in Java, you need to understand OOP, to the peak, right? But JavaScript, you can just write JavaScript. But when you start with beginner friendly, you try to understand the nitty-gritties about, programming as a whole, right? It will give you some confidence, and then you start growing in it. These are also some of the tips you can use. Consider learning curve. Starting with simpler technologies helps you build confidence and avoid frustration. Like I said earlier, build small projects. As you learn, build projects. Now it will start, obviously, if you're doing like a front end, you start by building your portfolio, right? You start by building these small projects, and you need to do a lot of free projects. Yes, free projects. This is just to build your career. Now, when foreign gigs come, first thing they want to ask you is, hey, what's your portfolio? Let's see your portfolio. Some will say, let's see your GitHub. Now, your GitHub is private, but there is this GitHub tells user that goes to your profile how you've been engaging, right? You just look at how you've been engaging, projects you've been building. Now, GitHub will not say, hey, these are personal projects. GitHub will just say, this guy has been engaging, right? You can see, everywhere is green and stuff like that. Okay, so but when you build these small projects, you just build confidence, you just keep learning, right? If you build same project, I want to tell you, if you build the same exact project 2 different times, you discover that the first project you build will be lagging something. The second project, you must improve on it. It's just natural about software engineering. Okay, when you build a certain project and then dump it, just build it again. You discover that you've learned something new, you've grown in it. And that's the reason why you need to build projects. Okay, experiment and iterate. Yes, you do a lot of experiments, you write a lot of code, you do a lot of free gigs, right? And then when you iterate, when you go back all over, you do them again and again. Trust me, you just become, you just grow in it. You might feel like you are still doing the same thing, but when you start going out, when you start putting yourself in the limelight, you just discover that, whoa, what is this? Have I gotten to this point? It's just for you to keep consistency. Just be consistent and be patient in what you do. Okay. Now, having seen how you can make these decisions of choosing your tech stacks, right? Now, you need to understand the basics of a programming language, of of programming, basically. Sorry. Now, this is regardless of the language you want to, you want to settle with, be it Java, C Sharp, or whatnot. Okay. First of all, you need to understand the basics before delving into specific language. Learn the foundational concepts that applies to all programming languages. Now, I want to say this, that regardless of the language you're building with, programming is the same thing across board. The only difference is just syntax and probably the framework you're using and how you're applying them. Variables and data types. In all programming language, you come across variables. You need to understand what they are. You need to store and manipulate data. Control structures, if else statements. You need to understand the basics first of all. Okay, you don't just jump into, I want to start learning this, and then you just from zero, you want to start from 10. It's not going to work until you understand the basics of how this thing works. Loop, regardless of loops, rather, regardless of the programming language, you need to understand loops. You see variables, control structures, loops, functions, basic algorithms. It's applicable to all programming languages, regardless, right? You just need to understand these things. And things you also need to know is version control. Gone are those days when I started off, I will build my stuff, I'll wrap it. I have a flash drive. I will zip it. If I want to send it, I'll have to send it. Not because GitHub was not there, it's because probably maybe I was not exposed at that point. I'll have to zip it and then send it. And sometimes I will email it, I'll send it to another person to view. And sometimes when you're doing this zip, you just keep losing some files, right? But today, thank God for version control. Version controls like GitHub, right? Where you can just push your code. I mean, you can just stay here, write code, and then push it. Go to your second computer, continue with your computer where you stopped. So you don't need to zip anything. And it's very, very important to understand GitHub and Git command. Like I mentioned earlier as well, you need to build simple projects. Data structure and algorithm, of maybe not intense, but you just need to understand what algorithm is. A plus A, how does it affect when I make a query? How does it affect the long-term goal of that the software, right? Data structure, how are you going to position your data such that it's not going to affect it when it scales? Debugging and testing. This is one key thing you need to understand when you're growing in becoming an engineer, right? Debugging and testing is really key because that's where you come in, right? When there are issues in the app, the first thing you want to do is, hey, what's causing this problem? And please, if there's anything you want to take home today, do not solve a problem in the surface. When there is let's say syntax error, not really saying anything, A plus A, let's say you're, instead of having 2A, you're having A squared. And then you're concerned about, oh, let it be 2A, right? Don't do that. Always go to the root cause of the problem. What is making it not give the actual results? There's a tool, Pareto tool, that you can use to find a root cause of a software problem, which I'm going to be sharing after this class. Okay, learn to find the root cause of a problem, not just solving that problem. Find the root cause, so that when you solve the root cause, right, the problem is just solved. Okay, join communities, build your portfolio. This is going to really, really help you when you build your portfolio, when you join communities. Communities like
Sorry, Mr. Nnadi. Yes, yes, please. Can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay, could you please round up the first session while we bring up the person, the alumni?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, so okay. Yeah, let's stop here and then we can bring now understanding these basics, right? When you've already you know your pattern already, you know the basics of writing a good software, right? we'll be delving the next after this, after the alumni, we're going to be looking at the roadmap of being a software engineer. Now, this part is beginner, right? You just need to understand this before you go to here. Okay. So when we resume back, when we come back, I'm walking you guys through, the software roadmap and the tech stacks, where you need to start from, and then you grow in it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you very much, Samira. You can take it off from here.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Thank you, everyone. So, Mr. Nnadi is going to be back very soon. We just want you to listen to somebody who has been through or who has passed through the same training and would be giving you information about how it's going, just to motivate you to, pay more attention and um okay, to pay more attention basically, and just have high hopes for this particular training. Please hold on while I get the person.
Hello, Alex. Are you on the call?
Yeah, I'm on the call. Good evening.
Hi, good evening. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good. How about you?
I'm doing great. So, like Samir have said, you just have to share your story, your journey. When you learned. I believe Jerry must have briefed you about it. So when
Yeah.
you learned, when you started your journey in software and where you are at the moment, I believe a lot of people want to learn from your story and see how you were able to get from point A to point B, the journey so far, and how we have actually helped you achieve this milestone. All right, thank you very much.
All right. Good evening, everyone. I don't know if you guys can hear me. Please confirm.
Very well,
All right.
Alex.
All right. So I think I just need to introduce myself. My name is Alex Favor Kripka. Presently, I'm actually a developer relations guy at Super Team Nigeria. So some of you might know Super Team Nigeria. Some of you might actually have not heard about it. So, but I'm going to actually like share my story, like a little background info of what I wanted to do in tech, where I am actually now, and the process that started the whole thing. So generally speaking, when I wanted to start tech, I actually wanted to be like be a designer, right? Everybody wanted to like achieve one thing. Like when you see designs, have good taste for designs and all that. So I guess I just like design because probably my friends were doing it then. But the first hindrance I had was I think I actually did not have like a laptop that Photoshop could like enter and all that. So I said, okay, how about I test app development. The second drawback was that I couldn't even download Android Studio into my Windows. So, but then I think one thing kept on just happening was that I actually had this hunger that I I do not see myself going to like working in the market because my parents are like traders and every time they'll be like, okay, you have to come to shop, you have to do this and that. Like right from day one, I don't see myself being in that position. Neither did I actually see myself like just being in the office doing some kind of thing. So that like initially that has been zeroed from my mind. And that's where I started because if I say I don't want to do this, right, I need to figure out the other end, which is that I have to do. So I not like being a software developer, you can't work in the office or you can't do that and all these things that I just said. But then I saw that it's either I am actually like going to try out software development or I see some other thing. But then slowly, so why I'm going to say this is that maybe some might think that okay, I just dabbled into design. No, I think in my primary six, I had my own personal computer, I had my own personal private this thing, computer teacher and all that. So basically I would say that I've like been computer literate from get go. So but then when the hunger for software development started, I ended up like doing web development. So that was like the easiest part. But then thinking that it's going to be an easy thing and all that, the first time I tried, my in fact in fact I cried because I did not know what was happening. So that's where the power of community comes in, right? So I think I tried on my own, tried doing one or two things, probably met some friends and all that. Now I now joined the first community. That was like good developers community in school. Then I had some things, but then I still noticed that like there is this price that I'm actually not getting right. When you know you're not getting something correctly, you actually know. So fast forwarded to the first day I met Jeremiah. I don't know if any of you have I don't know. Okay, he's actually one of the persons in CareerLeap. So that was like probably my university days and all that. So that was when I said, oh, I need to like go down this route. And if I'm actually going to do this, I need to be like intentional about it, right? So but now as I started, I thought it was going to be like the whole easy thing. Me and Jerry, I think we are not even friends then. The first place I met him was on the road. I told him, oh, I wanted to join in, do this, do that. They said, okay, no problem. We have a program and we usually learn software development and all that. Fast forwarded to it. So I made sure that I showed up in classes. I made sure that I did the assignments I did. In fact, one of the things that was my mantra was if I don't do it enough that when they want to talk about it, they don't call me first, it means I'm not getting it right somewhere. So basically, whenever there is an assignment to submit and I go back and they're talking about it, and then there is an issue to solve or whatever, the first person they will say is, okay, Alex, how do you think this is? Or the next person they will ask question is, okay, Alex, can you explain this? So that was like some of the things I try to keep personal for myself. Like I should be that good that whenever they're talking about this thing, at least they can call me up to actually present it if I'm in a team and all that. And funny enough, when we actually had created teams, so it's to tell you the kind of persons that you guys have on this call. I think Paul was also my team leader, right? So all these things were happening in my university days, and these are like things that I was like at my from my 100 level to my 300. I said I must have something I can show for it. So throughout the time I did the training and everything, that was when the whole wave of blockchain and all this started, and I actually picked interest into it too from trying to become like just a web developer, front end developer. I said no. Or how about like I see this next big thing, which is the whole blockchain side of things, and then that's where I actually noticed the whole developer relation side of things. So something you guys need to know about, I think why I'm saying all this is number one is called grit, right? Where I learned this grit is also like why doing some of these classes. I actually still enrolled myself in doing like some other side stuff. Like I learned personal topics and all that. Also engage myself in some boot camps and all that. Have like niche group of persons where we work together and all that. So all these things made me to actually like get better at what I'm doing. I actually like whenever I'm free actually meet Jerry outside the office hours and I show him what I have done and even ask him, is there any course I can take that will get me better at all this? So the whole process of wanting to know more and everything is actually one of the things that I think I was doing better than my peers then. And then what did it actually get me? So while I was in the classes doing this and all that, that was the first time I noticed about the whole blockchain thing. Fast forwarded to it, I got my first role at Super Team Nigeria after working closely with Jerry in a few personal projects and all that. and it has actually been upwards from there. So I'll just like list some of my achievements since I actually joined Super Team Nigeria, just to tell you like you can actually do more. So basically, my role at Super Team was okay. We need to like get developers to actually build products on the blockchain. We need to make sure we have um more than 100 developers in Super building on Solana. By the way, Super Team Nigeria is actually like a team helping people to earn and grow on Solana. So I thought it was actually going to be one of the hardest tasks for me. But fast forwarded since then till now, we've been able to like have like 500 developers. We've been able to like generate a GDP of almost 300 and $399,000 and the rest. So all these things, if Azuma wasn't like I wasn't actually focused in what I wanted to do, right? I wasn't listening during the classes. I wasn't actually contributing actively. In fact, the first gig I got at Super Team was as a result of the product I built. And I showed my boss, he was like, oh no, you need to actually join the team and actually help other developers to actually build on Solana. So while others were learning just front-end development, I was learning front-end development and how I can be able to integrate it in the general context in blockchain too. So with that, I was able to like both advance in my career and also get myself like better opportunities. Probably my pay if I was like a Web2 developer, I won't even be like in the next 2 years, I won't be able to see that, right? But due to the way I actually settled down, and I'm not going to lie, it doesn't end in the class. I go outside of maybe class hours, talk about some of the issues I have, and all those kind of things, just to make sure that I am actually getting, even if it's 1% better than what I'm doing, and it actually paid off. So I don't know. I don't most times I don't think we need too many motivations to even get better in what I'm in whatever you're doing. It should be like your personal motivation. Look at your present self now and look at the place you are staying. If you are comfortable there, then I don't think there is any other motivation that you need. But if you know that you're not comfortable in that place you are, and you know the kind of life that you want, you know that maybe you probably want to ball big, you probably want to be the next whatever, and this is actually you are not comfortable wherever you are. I think that should be like enough motivation to actually get you to whatever you want in life. So basically that's like some of the things I actually did during my both undergraduate years and the early time I started building software and all that. So that's like some of the things I think I can share with you guys. I don't know if you guys have like any questions and any other thing I can answer them.
Okay, thank you so much, Alex, for this detailed success story. Like, according to you, you started from the university days, your dedication, your focus, your commitments. And one thing I love you mentioned was if you are okay with where you are, then you don't need any motivation. But if you're not okay, then you need to start this process as soon as possible. So thank you very much, Alex. As you can see, Alex is the team lead for Super Team. And you know what Super Team, for those who understand Super Team, you understand that this is not just the ordinary platform that you just see by the roadside or what have you. I'd like to tell you that it's not about just learning this thing from us. We are also guiding you, grooming you, and mentoring you to ensure that you are not left behind. And it starts from here, right? So apologies, Paul, for the cut in transmission, right? And I know a lot of us here already have an idea about software, about product, about all these things. And Paul is going to be giving us that overview like he has already been doing. So after this session, of course, you can ask Paul several questions, and if Alex is on the call, he's available to also answer those questions as well. So Paul, thank you very much. We'll leave the floor open to you again. Please, we'd love you to take your time and of course do justice. We can't wait to get impacted once again. Thank you very much. Alex and Paul, you can go on. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. And yeah, Alex, that was a great one. In fact, to even emphasize on Alex's story, I mean, when I met Alex, he's just intentional, right? He just wants to grow, right? And then it's paying off right now. He mentioned two things or few things community, right? Community, wanting to know more and being intentional. All right. Regardless of everything we see here, right? If you're not intentional to grow, if you know you are just comfortable at where you are right now, trust me, it's still going to be the same story. Okay. So yeah, I will just quickly wrap this session with a few things. Let me know when you can see my screen now. And yeah, Alice, thank you very much for that. Okay, can you all see my screen now, please? Awesome. Okay. All right, now back to the basics, right? You know, we're talking about variables, data types, and you know, control structures. Now, these are the building blocks of how you can grow. I mean, you can't do B without knowing A, right? You need to understand these basics. And I was talking about, you know, debugging skills. It's very, very key when there are issues. And yeah, join the community and build your portfolio. After this class, I'm going to be sharing some of the resources I used to grow, right? And some of the resources I've been using to groom, you know, people. I'm going to be sharing it to Sarima and then can share to everyone in this class. Okay, now we'll be talking about the roadmap for becoming a software engineer. Okay, now that you've understood the basics, right? Now you want to grow. You just don't want to be a programmer. You want to grow into being an engineer. You know, you want to be competitive, right? You know, when there are issues, you're just the first person they want to say, hey, let's call this guy to check these things. Okay, these are the roadmap. Of course, while you're learning, please learn the habit to write a clean code. All right, I'll share a brief story. You know, I was opportune to join a team in Rwanda, Central Bank of Rwanda, and the first project we were supposed to, you know, coordinate and, you know, audit the whole software. The first time we saw the software, basic introduction, I mean, the developer was like, hey, okay, I'm the one in charge, I'm a senior developers and whatnot. Okay, and that was it. I was so excited that, hey, it's going to be you know, less work for me if a senior developer is working on something. But when we saw the code, right, it was messed up, it was messy, and of course you don't want to embarrass your developer. You just want to say, okay, we'll just take care of it. And this is because, and that's the major difference between a programmer, a roadside programmer. You don't want to become a roadside programmer, right? Now with this AI thing, let me say this, with this AI thing, right, AI is not here to take your jobs. Forget about that. AI is here to take people's job who have refused to use AI technologies. What do I mean? For basic programmers, right, AI can take jobs. But when you're doing something extraordinary outside the box, right, you're writing a clean code, you are using an OOP design principles, you are using design pattern. These are things that AI to this point has not gotten into. AI can write a code just like regular programmers, right? But you are stepping outside the box. You are applying principles, design patterns, architectural patterns, right, into your software. It is way beyond sitting and writing A plus B. Anybody can write A plus B. AI can write A plus B. But when you start applying this, when you start taking these deeper, you know, steps to creating these things to yourself, you grow in it. Okay. First thing is clean code. As you're learning, you're understanding, okay, how am I supposed to structure my functions? Now, when I have a project, first thing is I want to sit down. I want to have a coding guideline, even if I'm the only person working on it. I want to have a coding guideline for the project. Okay, for my functions, these are how I'm going to do it. This is the architecture I want to use. This is the design pattern. That way, even if I'm no more, any other developers come there, it's easier. And that's what makes you different. That's what makes you, you know, in the competitive market, that's what just makes you stand out. Okay. So I'm just going to be walking you through each of these steps. Remember, this step, you've gone beyond become just being and, you know, knowing the basics. You are now taking a step forward. All right. Clean code. A clean code is just a foundation of software engineering. It's emphasizing writing code that is simple, readable, and maintainable. A developer will focus on code readability, ensuring that other developers can understand and work with the code effortlessly. Now, if you can see this, I don't know if I can zoom this. If you look at this first function and this second function, right? First function is just is a function that accepts two parameters and then returns the results. They will return same results. The output is still 15. But between this, if you're writing this top code and someone else is writing this the code below, right? Of course, they will go for this person that is cleaner because it's readable. With just seeing the function, I already know what is used for. Now, this thing, as simple as this thing is, this thing can kick you out from an interview. Very simple. This simple thing can kick you out of an interview. And then you'll be like, but the result is still 15. The guy they employed, the result is 15. I also got 15. But these are the things they look out for. All right. How you write your code, how your code is readable, how it is structured, well structured. So even as you move into these parts, put this at the back of your mind. Even as you learn, even as you'll be learning the basics, always make sure your code is clean. All right. Design principles, and this is where I'm really going to emphasize on, softwares. It is very key. This might not be beginner friendly, but it's important you understand this even as you're embarking on this journey. Okay. First of all, when you want to start your project, have a design principle. There are principles that have been laid aside for you to use. The solid principle, the dry principle, do not repeat yourself, the case principle, keep it simple, stupid, right? Just keep it simple, do not repeat yourself. Now, if you write a function, right, that accepts a particular parameters, all right, make sure you are reusing that function. You should not have another functions that will be doing the same thing, okay? It means you don't have any design principles in mind. Also, all these are advanced, the CAP theorem, the consistency, availability, and partitions. All right. Now, this theorem basically is talking about, in banks, right? Softwares in bank, they will favor consistency over availability when there is no partition. The theorem basically is talking about you cannot have consistency, availability, and partitions in a software. Partition in this context means network, right? Availability, of course, how available your software is. And then consistency. Consistency simply means correctness in your software, right? When you're writing a software, what do you consider first? Do you consider the correctness of the data? Or you're concerned about the availability when there is no partition? Now, I'll give you an instance. For social media, and it is based on the requirements at that time for your software. For social media, when there is no partition, they consider availability first before consistency or correctness. This opposes banks. Banks, when there is no partition, they consider consistency before availability. What do I even mean about this consistency? When you open your social media, first thing that comes to your head is let it open. Do you understand? Imagine you're opening Facebook or Instagram, and then because there's no partition, and then it's loading. And that's the reason why sometimes when you open your Instagram, you will see the old data, right? You see your old data before it will refreshes and then give you new data, right? That's availability. They are considering availability before consistency. But in the bank, when you open the bank will rather prefer correctness over availability. And that's why sometimes when you open your bag, it takes time before it loads. It's because they are considering, they want you to see your correct balance. Don't go and see 20 billion when you have 20 naira. Do you understand? So these are principles that you put in place when you're building your softwares. You don't just jump into softwares and start writing softwares. Look at the requirements, and that's what makes you stand out. When you ask these questions to people, employers, and then they see these things, they see that you have sound knowledge of what software is. You have opportunity to just delve into it. The solid principles, consistency, and all of that. it's very important in this case when you're doing these things, you put them. And there are other principles. I just brought this up. You can still read more about principles of software engineering. There are a couple of them, but these are just the basic one that can help you grow in it. Now we have design pattern. Design pattern and design principles are different. Okay. Design patterns are tried and tested solutions to common software design. There are three main categories. Now, what design pattern is talking about is still also adopting solid principles and do not repeat yourself. For instance, you have a payment method. Okay. You have your credit card, your PayPal, and then you have your payment factory. Now, to some extent, when you're implementing these things, if you don't have a pattern, what you will do is you process your card payment separately, you process your PayPal separately, and all of that. If you have Stripe, you process them separately, which is a wrong practice, right? As a software engineer, you need to understand the pattern that you need to reuse a particular payment system. And that's why you have, if you can see this, you have a payment method that calls the pay, and then we'll just pass the method you want to use. Hey, is it credit card? Is it PayPal? Is it whatever? Is it Stripe? That way you remain consistent. That way your code is aligned, right? Even if 10 developers jump on it, I mean, it's just simple. And these are things, they look out for when you're building softwares. Now, this is beyond just writing codes. This is looking into the nitty-gritties of the engineering principle you are applying, okay? Architectural patterns. Now, I've seen cases where this is a very good example. I've seen cases where you're writing a software and everything is jam-packed, right? Softwares cannot scale like that when you don't have architectural patterns. Architectural patterns basically are just structures of an applications. What does what? The model, what does it do? The views, what does it do? The controller, what does it do? The services, what does it do? The helpers, what do they do, right? And there are different architectural patterns. The domain-driven patterns. We have the clean architectural patterns, the microservices architectures, and whatnot. Now, these concepts are advanced. These concepts are a little bit deeper. But the reason why I'm sharing this is even as you're embarking on this, and there are some people too that have been in this space, these are things you want to look out for. Because the basic programming, right? The basic programming right now, AI is there, right, to do them. Okay. So you need to put a step forward. You need to do something outside the box to make sure that you're competitive. And that's why when you're embarking on this journey, you want to put all of these things into check. That's okay. What are the patterns I want to use? These are the things that makes you stand out. Okay. The domain-driven design pattern is a little complex. We talked about its microservices as well. That talks about the core applications, infrastructure, and the UI. Okay. But you can read more about this. I will share resources where you can read more about all of these things. Okay. Just make sure that when you're writing your softwares, when you're building softwares, all of these things are architectural patterns, design principles are in place. Okay. Now look at this, my pyramid. The last part is self-actualization. Now this part is when you have grown, you have built yourself, okay, and then this is just like a mastery, peak. You just need to apply these things that you've learned. And hey, the truth is, it's difficult for you to just sit down and then you're applying architectural pattern, design pattern. No. And that's why you need to do a lot of projects. You need to join communities. There are people who have done these things. Okay. There are people who have done these things. They have made mistakes. Okay. They have fall short, right? You still don't need to make those mistakes. Okay. When you join this community, you meet with like-minded people, just like this Alex was sharing. Okay. He has his downside. Okay. He has his challenges while he was growing in the career. Okay. You go to a community, you meet people like this, and they share their stories to you. And then instead of you to fall when they fell, right, you stand on their shoulder and then pass that particular challenge. Okay. And that's the reason why we are sharing all of this, for you to be aware. Lastly, knowing how to code, becoming an engineer, a professional, an expert is not just enough. What's your strategy of being visible? How do you brand yourself? Trust me, you can know how to do all of these things and then you're still earning peanuts. You can know how to do design pattern, architectural, all of these things. But because you've not branded yourself, you are not visible, you'll still be at the same spot. How do you brand yourself? How do you remain relevant? Okay. How do you become visible in the global markets? I said build portfolio, join communities, and do free projects. Okay. Now there are platforms that showcases your ability. Okay. TopTal, for instance, if you go to TopTal, by the way, TopTal is a recruitment platform and all of that. Now there are rigorous processes that you pass through, and these are the things they look out for when you are applying to these platforms. You can be visible in Upwork if you decide to become a freelancer. Okay, open Upwork, Fiverr, put these things in check, start practicing on these things. You can even start earning, you can bring your pricing down just to build your portfolio. They will tell you, okay, we want somebody with at least 3 years of experience, but you are just starting off. You know how to do these things, but you don't have that experience. And that's why we are saying build free projects. When you're building free projects, that's an experience. You're adding it up. If you have built 10 free projects, right? That's experience. Probably you built them in 1 year or 2 years. Okay, obviously not 2 years, just 1 year or 6 months and all of that. It has added to your experience. Okay, and then you have built your portfolio. That way you're branding yourself. Okay, you are not just seen as a developer. Okay, you create these accounts on Upwork, right? And for people as well who wants to, you want to travel, and in these foreign countries you have limited time you can work. Okay, but when you build these profiles, you can just stay on your own and do these things, and then you're getting paid. Do you understand? Because you're not basically you're not going out to register in the office or probably signing in the office. You're just in your comfort zone, and then you're making this money. Okay, even if you want to work from home, you want to work, and then you want to earn in dollars and whatnot. Okay, these are principles you can apply. Okay, Fiverr, Upwork, these are places that we started with, right? And a lot of people have made a lot of money using these platforms. And then these are ways you can also brand yourself and then be visible. Lastly, communities. You know, uh, Google developers community is everywhere around the world. Okay, if you're in Lagos, okay, there are Google developers communities you can join, and you can meet a lot of people. You can meet a lot of people there, people who are doing exactly what you want to do. See, the best thing you will do to yourself is mingle with someone that is pursuing exactly what you're pursuing, right? You are rubbing minds together, and then you want to grow together, and then you have a mentor that is mentoring you people. Okay, when you have challenge, right, sometimes this thing gets so bulky, gets so overwhelming that sometimes you want to lose it. Sometimes you just want to, like, guy, not be me kill Jesus, right? But then remember again, your goal, you're trying to get to where you want to be, right? You're not comfortable with your current state, and then you just want to grow. But when you have people that you rub shoulder together, I mean, they get to encourage you, and then you just grow in it. So just put in the work, be intentional, join communities, do free projects, and most importantly, build your portfolio. Build your portfolio. Thank you very much. I'll be available for questions, and I'll be handing this over to Sarima or God Gift. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you so much for that. Now we're just going to take questions. If you have questions, please just signify by raising up your hands, and we're going to call you. Okay. I can see. Okay, I can see two people. Mr. Gerald, kindly unmute your mic and ask your question, please.
Oh, hello, good evening.
Good evening, sir.
Okay, my little question for you is sorry, it might look like I'm being selfish, like, but my question is, as a chemical engineer, how do you think I can use software engineering? Is it not like me delving out of my field entirely? And comparing software engineering with cybersecurity, which do you think is more profitable in the long run? Because I'm beginning to get scared of this whole chat GPT AI trend and the rest. And you didn't really talk much about AI. So that's like my little question for Mr. Paul. Or, yeah.
Okay. Um, thank you very much for that question, Gerard. Cybersecurity, you're saying which pays more between cybersecurity and software engineering, right? Software engineering.
Okay, I
Okay.
said which one has more prospects like in the long run? Because I've seen something like there's a decline in demand for software engineering. That the world is moving towards the Internet of Things and rise in cybersecurity and the rest.
Okay. That's a very good question. That's a great question. And now the truth is, um, both paths are profitable. And you know the projection in software engineering, like I shared earlier. All right, the projection in software engineering is really key. Now, the goal, the important thing is solidify your knowledge. See, if you're going for cybersecurity, ensure that you are just the go-to person when they talk about cybersecurity in that space. When you're dealing with software engineering, okay, solidify your knowledge in it. Okay, I can't really say, okay, in the long run, cybersecurity, they are both demanding in this space. Cybersecurity, right? Now, think of this. Cybersecurity, they have tools. Who built these tools, right? They have tools they use for this cyber security, for securing this security generally. There are tools they use, and these tools come from software engineers. All right, they architect these tools, they provide these tools for them. So all I would just say is, regardless of the niche you want to, and you made mention of AI, which I'm going to emphasize on, right? Just solidify your knowledge. All right, just grow to the point that even you yourself, you'll be like, okay, at this point, I think, I'm there. But of course, in this tech, or you can't even say you are there, because you just keep growing, you just keep learning. The day you just stop saying, okay, you don't, that day you just start declining. Just keep doing what you're doing, right? And then for you to decide, first of all, what do you really want? What's your passion? That's just story for all that day. What do you really want in this space? Where do you think you're attracted more? Is it the software engineering or the cybersecurity? Whichever one you choose, solidify your knowledge there. And trust me, you're still gonna, earn a lot more in that space. Now, for the AI thing, I mentioned it. AI, yeah, AI has disrupted a lot of things for developers that are not improving. I use AI a lot, right? And as a matter of fact, in I work with a Texas company. We use AI as well. But the thing AI cannot do for you, AI cannot decide for you. AI can only tell you, can just suggest. They cannot decide anything to you. You still be the one to architect your software. You still be the one to draw algorithms on how your software will be. So regardless of AI or not, just solidify your knowledge, and then you still make it. Trust me.
Sorry, you didn't answer the first question as regarding chemical engineering. Like a total deviation. Because I have tried doing software at a point. I notice it's sort of obsessive in the sense that if you don't finish like writing down your code, you might
Mhm.
literally not know yourself till you go and spend like an hour away or 2 hours, then you come back to it. So
So
how do
first question to you is, are you practicing chemical engineering right now?
I'm practicing, but I intend to further because this is just like adding extra skills. Who
Okay.
knows?
Exactly. I mean, you just answered the question. It's not. I mean, you're adding a skill, and who knows, just from what you said, it's not. I think whatever skill you have, you can still apply them. Any opportunity that comes, right? If you're a software engineer and then there's opportunity for chemical engineer or something, you can still delve into it. The whole point is you just want to keep grinding. You just want to keep going, right? And for me personally, I'll tell you to pursue the goal of a software engineer, right? Pursue it because it's all about tech right now and you're not going to regret it. Yeah. I
Is
don't know
there
if I
anything you suggest to me to focus on? Like you mentioned, DevOps, UI, UX is broad, so that I will be like more niche down instead
okay.
of being a bit confused as per.
Okay. Yes, and I understand that it can be sometimes overwhelming, right? DevOps and all of that. But first thing you need to do is understand the basics of programming. Okay. And then you have to make research. Now, look at where you're attracted more. Are you a person that you're more of a logic, you like logic, A plus A, you're asking yourself, why are they using A plus A? You're just intrigued by things that talks about logic and all of that, then you're a back-end person. If you're someone who you see design, you'll be like, whoa, I love this design. Do you understand? You're curious about how that design came up from, or how they designed it or whatnot, right? You are a UI person, and then you can go for front end. But if you're somebody who is curious about how server works, like I said, how server are able to interact with each other, load balancing and all of that, then you are a DevOps person. But with this, right, you can still make your research, go deeper, read more, about front end, back end, and DevOps, right? Just read about these things. But the more you know the basics of software, naturally you'll just see yourself going into that path. The mistakes some people do is, oh, they just want to jump into front end, probably because their friends are earning a lot in it, or maybe their friends are in it. They just want to jump into it, and after spending some months or years, they'll be like, oh my, this front end is not my thing. And then you start all over again. Just make your research, right? Understand the basics of programming first of all. Make your research, and then naturally you'll just see yourself going into the path that you want to go to.
Thank you very much. I think that was very insightful. Then we expect my maybe resources subsequently. Or
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely.
very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Gerard.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Gerald. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. Mr. Adeyeba Idris, please, if you can hear me, kindly unmute your mic and ask your question, sir.
Thank you very much for the opportunity. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you very much for this opportunity again. I would like to commend the presentation of Mr. Paul, the way he illustrated the surfacing, the availability and the consistency. Now, for the novice like us, we want to go into software or programming. How do we navigate all these basics? Okay, we need to know this, we need to know this, we need to know this, but how do we really go, into them with practical skills? I don't know if you get what I'm trying to ask. He has taken us through a lot of basics that we need to know when we want to go into programming, but how do we navigate the skills? What are the basic things that we need to have to get all these things done? And he also mentioned joining the community, which will enable us to move a bit faster. So how do we get this link up with this community around us? And now, can we join your community if there is anyone the like of which Mr. Alex benefited from, or is benefiting from rather? Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Is it Adedai, right? Yeah. So if
Yeah.
I don't, yeah. Okay. First thing is you asked how the basics to get things done. For a beginner, I always say that sometimes it might just get too much. You just see a lot of things, and you see one thing is, let's say you're writing you're doing JavaScript. One of your friend will just come nowhere. I'm doing Python now, I'm using the Django and this thing. Someone else will just come, we are using this one now, we are using Go. And then you just find yourself, am I really learning the actual thing? And that's why I said, ask yourself a question, what do you really want, right? Go to, if your goal is to earn more, right? Just go to job boards. I wish I can open LinkedIn now. You will see a lot of jobs opportunity. And then you start seeing the stacks that they want or that they need. You start seeing frequently asked tasks. That's when you start learning the basics. Now, after learning the basics, you understand what software is. You can write basic code, and not just understanding it. You, of course, you've built one or two free projects. You've done your own projects. You've done your portfolio. This one is just to solidify your whole idea about softwares. And then a step further, I will still share resources on understanding these design patterns, architectural patterns, and whatnot. Take it upon yourself to learn these things. You see, data structure and algorithm. Not all software developers knows these things. All right. What now makes you stand out is when you now put all these design principles, design pattern, data structure and algorithm, when you start applying them in your development, you just stand out. And there are resources, there are numerous resources. The gang of four, the gang of four are the people that originated clean architecture. Sorry, yeah, clean design pattern. And I'm going to share all of these things to you. I have a drive where I have most of my resources I use to grow. I'm going to share them. I'll share them to the team and then they can share to you. Just grow in it. And then another thing is sometimes you'll be like, okay, I've done design pattern. What's next for me? And that's why you have a roadmap. Okay, you have a roadmap. From this stage, this is the next stage you need to learn. This is something else you need to learn, right? Just follow your roadmap. And another thing I will encourage is anything you learn, make sure you have a life project for it. A life project might not be project for a company. It might just be your self projects you built for yourself. All right. In my university days, I know how many GP calculators I built while I was just starting off in Java. Until to date, they are still using it. And I was just building it. I just built it because I've learned these things. So I need to put it into practice. I built them, I left them. All right. And that will just make you knowledge in that thing you learned. Okay. So for the community, basically, there are these the one I would just advise is Google Developers Community. I mean, and we have communities as well. Cotent is there, and of course they'll be sharing this with you. You join the community where we are standby there, and we can just assist your journey, and then we grow together. I don't know if that helps.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome, Adidai.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Mr. Anifo, promise. Can you unmute your mic and ask a question, sir? Mr. Promise, can you hear me? Mr. Promise, if you're speaking, we can't hear you. Please unmute your mic.
I think he's having some network challenge or so. Okay, he's available now.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
So you can hear?
Yes, we can hear you, boy.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Paul.
You're welcome, Promise.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
So,
We can
sir,
hear you.
my question is, I used to be a total novice to software development and stuff. So I started off about 2 months ago, and I started with HTML. So I was using a PDF, like a file to see myself, and I was writing a code, but I got to some stages that I couldn't like continue. My head was really hot. I had to switch off my laptop and
Hello, Promise. Are you still there? Hello, Promise. Okay. You may want to leave and join back. If you're still having network challenge. All right. So, thank you very much, Paul. This has been like an eye opener. It has been very, 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 very impressive and eye opening session. And I believe everyone in this session are ready to kickstart their software engineering journey, because, like Alex said, if you are okay where you are, well, that's fantastic. But if you're not okay, then this is the time to actually take that first step. Someone asked about community, about how they can actually get started and all that. I know most of you that are novice to this thing must have been hearing a lot of grammar, a lot of big, big words. Of course, it's a lot, right? Like Paul said, it's a lot. It can be overwhelming. But the thing is this: joining our community and joining what we do will actually break down those key concepts that will make it look very easy to understand. That's why our 3 months boot camp is something that can actually take you from a novice or even an amateur to someone that can be given high product or high projects to actually work on. Paul, Alex is one of our success story, and from what you heard from him, you agree with me that this sector you are joining or you are coming in is a very lucrative one. If only you are in a community, if only you have a mentor, if only you have someone that can groom you and guide you. And like we said earlier in the first session, I mentioned that, see, 2025 is not a year where you just come and be like, oh, I just want to cruise around 2025. It's a year where you take that action. Like Promise was saying before his network went off, he said when he opened his system and he saw those things, his head started catching fire. Well, see, when you join our academy, when you join this boot camp, your head will be cool, because we're going to explain those things that is getting you your head to be boiling. You know what I mean, right? So okay, sorry, please. I think I got shut for a while. All right, so let me start afresh. I forgot I was muted. All right, it happens. All right, so this is the curriculum for the tech training, right? This is the curriculum for the software development. Nobody's hearing me still. What's going on? Can you hear me now? All right.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you. So this is the course. Okay, thank you. So this is the course curriculum that we have for our software engineering bootcamp. And you will agree with me that this is not just the regular training you attend where they give you big words, jargons, and all that, and you get confused on how to get started. We're actually diving into the basic that you will practically understand everything from start to finish. And you also have a community of people that can actually guide you from point A to point B, right? That will guide you. And I mentioned something while I was muted that if you want to learn software engineering, you should be paying nothing less than 1 million naira, 2 million naira, depending on the organization you're working with, to actually learn this particular skill. But for us at CareerLeap, we are not, we are doing this as a CSR project, corporate social responsibility. So we are not coming in terms of business, but of course we need people that are actually dedicated, focused, and all that, because the opportunities, like Paul said, are actually massive. And we have internship positions and job opportunities for individuals that go through these 3 months boot camp and also be part of our community. Then for us to see that, of course, you are serious, you're taking this serious, we want to be part of this community, then there's a fee attached. There's a fee attached to show that commitment. This is a commitment fee you are paying for the 3 months. So we charge 50,000 naira per month. That's actually very small. Can you imagine? 50,000 naira per month. Like I said, is a social corporate responsibility for CareerLeap. So 50,000 naira per month. So we're starting in February, March, then June, right? Yeah. So that is how it's going to go. And you are also in our community to get groomed, to get guided, and to get mentored from people like Paul, from people like Alex, and several other professionals, Jerry, that we have that will be taking you hands-on. And one fantastic thing about this is the fact that even after learning this thing, right, you have the opportunity to intern with us or intern with other companies, so you can also build your portfolio, right? For those that don't have a portfolio, you also have the opportunity to also work on your CV or even your social presence, right, to show that, of course, this person is who they say they are. You also have the opportunity to access network of individuals that can give you job opportunities and all that. Like I explained something earlier in the first session, I mentioned that there's what we call the hidden job market. The hidden job market, a market where opportunities thrive. Only people you know or people in your network can actually give you access to those opportunities. And if they know you are good at what you do, then definitely those opportunities will come to you. So once again, I want to appreciate everyone that joins today's session. I want to especially and thankfully appreciate Paul, of course, for taking out time from his busy schedule to educate us, to impact us, to make us see reasons why we should take 2025 serious, right? We should take 2025 serious. So the link for those that are interested in starting this journey is in the WhatsApp group, right? The WhatsApp group. So please kindly go to the WhatsApp group, fill that form, and we'll take it over from there. Fill that form, we'll take it over from there. Now, most people will be like, oh, I don't have this money to pay. I don't know. Well, I'm sorry, that means you're not even serious at all. You're not serious with your journey. You're not serious with 2025, right? Then you're not for us. But if you are here today and of course you are ready to commit your time, be focused, and do what is needful, then you are one of them. I know Alex very well. He's someone that we have actually groomed, and I can tell you for a fact that this is someone that was actually committed in this journey. And today, if I tell you how much Alex earned, I don't want you guys to go and kidnap him, so I'm going to keep quiet. So you know what I mean? So that's to tell you the opportunities that are available for you. Like I always said, all fingers are not equal, right? All fingers are not equal. So you can come in today and become the next big thing, right? Like Paul said, he has worked with a bank in Rwanda, right? Imagine working with a bank. It's a big shoot, man. So what about you? Probably you should be working with Donald Trump. Never can tell. Probably updating Donald Trump's website. Never can tell where the future leads you to. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And we can't wait to start grooming you, mentoring you, and guiding you in this journey. Another thing is this, right? These sessions will also be recorded. There's a capstone project you're going to be doing. There's a team project you're going to be doing. You also have a portal where you come in and see classes, just in case you miss classes, right? You have a portal where you come in and, of course, see classes that you've missed, and, of course, ask questions. And you have a tutor that's ready to guide you. Everyone will be paired to a mentor. You'll be paired to a mentor, right? So if this is your journey, this is it. Not starting this is actually a risk. Not starting this 2025 or this month is actually a risk. So I've said a lot, actually. You don't need motivation, right? You don't actually need motivation. So thank you very much, everyone, for joining. And for those that are interested in our next class, which is product design, please kindly do well to join. Or you can decide to also join the design class if of course you want to have an idea of what product design is all about. So thank you very much, everyone. And Paul, once again, we appreciate. Do have a great evening, everyone. Bye bye.
Okay, thank you, everybody. Thank you, Mr. Paul. We look forward to seeing each and every one of you in our 8 p.m. lecture tomorrow. And if you had maybe signed up for another topic, then we'll be taking you on that journey as well. I can see Mr. Stephen Wilson. Your hands are up, sir. Do you have a question? Mr. Stephen Wilson, do you have a question, please?
Sorry, there's a mistake. Sorry.
Okay, thank you very much. If we do not have any questions, then we'll call it a day. Thank you very much, Mr. Paul. I'll continue my conversation with you. Thank you so much, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
Thank you for having me. Good night and enjoy the rest of your evening.